A reader once said with my books, and I think this might be true with yours to some extent, is darkness is in unexpected places. So the darkness,
That's a really great description. Okay,
right?
go
You
ahead.
find the darkness in unexpected places.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the More Than Words podcast, where we go behind the scenes to discover the deliciously messy world of romance. I'm your host, Dakota Willink, USA Today Bestselling Author of Dark Billionaire Romance. Today, we are going to step into our own little speakeasy for a special episode that I'm calling Whiskey, Wine, and Words, a Speakeasy Chat. And today, joining me is a woman whose books are drenched in tension, danger, and desire, the very lovely USA Today bestselling author, Eva Charles. Eva is the author of Dark Billionaire Romance with dangerous anti-heroes and strong heroines. She lives in New England with the love of her life and two naughty pups. When she's not writing about possessive brawly billionaires, she's sipping cocktails, traveling, or trying to squeeze information out of her tight-lipped sons. I can relate, Eva. So now before I bring Eva in, I just want to remind everyone, like I always do, make sure you hit that like button. Subscriptions are free and smashing the like helps the algorithm deliver the content to more people like you. So that said, let me go ahead and bring Eva in while you hit the like. Hi, Eva. How are you?
Well, thank you. How are you?
I'm good. It's been a little while since we've talked.
It has been. It has been. Before we start, though, I do want to say two
Yeah.
things. Okay. One is I have two little dogs here. And even though I moved back to my kitchen instead of my office, which is in the front of the house, they bark at everything. A leaf going by,
That's totally fine. There's one right there, and
so sweet.
I have two. There's two more. The little one is being a total pest right now. He just wants to keep. He wants me to keep throwing the ball for him. So I'm like, well, all right, later. And so I'm hoping he behaves. So don't worry about it. Honestly, the listeners are used to the dogs because I can't tell you how many times we've had interruptions because of my dogs or Christy Bromberg's dog started barking at the mailman. Like, I mean,
Okay.
yeah, dogs are normal in this
All
podcast.
right. All
So-
right. And since we've chatted before, if I talk too much, just feel free to be like, okay, we're moving on.
No, 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 no. You don't. I love listening to you talk. So yeah, no, don't worry about it at all. No, but actually, before we dive into all of your morally questionable men, I usually start off with something that you're loving or and something that you're hating. But because I probably should have given you a heads up about this one, but because this is more, I'm treating this more like a speakeasy chat.
Okay.
I'm going to change it up a little bit. I want to know what drink you love and what drink you hate.
Okay. Um, at this time of year, one of my favorite drinks is actually bourbon, and apple cider.
My husband
Um,
loves bourbon. Yeah, he's a big
and sometimes I'll put like a splash of ginger beer in it or something. That's my favorite drink, winter drink.
fan.
And hot or cold, it's great. And what I hate, and I have to be honest, I have not drank it since my 21st birthday, but just the thought of it, peppermint schnapps.
Oh, I have a Rumpelman story. There's still certain kinds of mint I can't have
Yeah,
because of something that I did very before I was even legal. Like I wasn't
yeah,
even just
yeah.
drinking.
Shots of peppermint schnapps. My birthday's actually in April, but we were snowed in. I was in college and we couldn't, no one could get out for Easter break. And so we like walked over to the local watering hole and people were like making me drink peppermint schnapps of all things. I have no idea why that was.
Oh no. Oh no. No, me, I'm a wine girly. My husband, he likes suburban.
Uh-huh.
Like Kentucky, I had to go to a book signing there before, and it ended up being extremely expensive because of all the bourbon that's in
Oh
Kentucky.
yeah.
But my favorite wine in particular is a Riesling that Chateau Saint Michel makes. And we actually just visited there when we were in Seattle in September. So it was really cool going to see that winery. It was a very, very pretty place. I recommend it if you haven't been there.
No, I have not.
Yeah, it's really, really pretty place. In fact, the whole area is being built up now. Lots of like distilleries. There, that's where Woodinville whiskey is. Um,
Okay, yeah,
yeah, so
yeah.
my husband actually grew up in Woodinville, which is why it's another reason we went to that area.
Uh-huh.
But there's lots of wineries going in. The development and the construction is pretty like crazy. It's something you should probably like. I think you would enjoy going there. It's a really
Yeah.
cool place. In a couple of years, I'd say give it some time to build up. Yeah, but then the drink that I don't like, I cannot drink beer. I hate beer. It
I
is
can't drink beer either.
disgusting. I cannot drink it. It's so hard sometimes. Like, well, not so much anymore. Now that like ciders and like hard seltzers
Yeah,
are on the rise, now I'm having more of like I'm able to find more things. But there's a lot of times we'll go to a bar and it's like this small hole in the wall
right,
place, and they only have beer or
right.
liquor. And I'm not a liquor drinker either because you don't want me to drink liquor.
Yeah.
It's not a good thing. Like I don't like it just goes right to my head and I'm stupid. So yeah, so no, just beer. I don't like beer.
No, I don't even like the smell of it, to be
No,
honest with you.
no. Yeah, oh my gosh, my husband comes to give me a kiss. I'm like, oh, you would
Yes,
drinking
yes,
beer. It's
exactly.
gross. I'm like, stay
Exactly.
away. Stay
Go
away.
away.
So, all right. Well, let's start with your books because
Okay.
what you write is actually very distinct. And like I said, I love listening to you talk. So don't feel like you're talking too much because I do remember listening to you talk about your stories and the strategies behind your writing when we were doing those author classes with Sky Warren.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. And I was always fascinated by your imagination and how you've just this the world that you built for this. So for anyone who hasn't had the pleasure of reading your books, how would you describe them?
Well, I would describe them as dark billionaire romance would be sort of the umbrella term, I guess. But dark is such a funny term now, right? I mean,
I
it's,
always
I
say
feel
dark.
like,
I always
yes,
say dark-ish
darkish.
because
It's a
yes.
continuum, right? I mean, and the funny thing is, if you read reader reviews, or when I read reader reviews, and the same with you, because you write probably about the same level of dark, really similar.
Mhm.
And some people call it dark and think it's too dark, and some people like, oh, it wasn't dark.
Mhm.
And so there, I mean, I think the one thing that we know, right? You can't like please everyone because on a different day, we all might view something differently anyway, even if we, yeah,
Dark is very subjective, I think.
yes, it's
Yeah.
very subjective.
Mhm.
So, so yeah, so that's basically what I write, but I am really into world building. My process is driven by location. So I will visit a location and I will and characters like will start to talk to me or I get a vibe or a feeling. I don't know how to explain it where I'm like, okay, this needs to be a story. And the series that I'm working on right now, I actually visited, we were in Nashville and we went to the Jack Daniels factory. We toured it. And while we were touring it, I was like, oh my God, I need to write a series about bourbon. And I start to kind of just get a feel for it. And if I'm there long enough, if I'm not, I sometimes go back. But I then start to populate that place with characters. And then that's sort of my process. Um, a reader once said with my books, and I think this might be true with yours to some extent, is darkness is in unexpected places. So the darkness,
That's a really great description. Okay.
right?
Go
You
ahead.
find the darkness in unexpected places because when we think about that, when we think about dark romances, we often think that it's the hero and the heroine, or the anti-hero and the heroine, who are having this issue, whatever it is. They're that, and often, of course, it's the hero who is doing something, whether he's kidnapping or he's whatever he's doing. Um, forcing her to do something. And I don't mean,
Yeah, not not
that,
not
not,
dual.
yeah.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
So anyway, but I think that for my characters, they live shadowy lives. And so they basically run criminal organizations, even though I do not write mafia. Um, has that kind of feel. They are people
So
who
it's
are doing,
more, would you say like more like society type?
yeah, I mean, I think that, or just whatever legitimate organization they're running up
Okay.
front, there's a lot of back deal stuff and a lot of things happening because either like in my Great series, where he's running sort of the entire valley, like or in Depraved, where in that series, it's really about, protecting the heroine and protecting his family business. And he does sort of whatever kind of shady things that he needs to do that.
I feel like your covers, they are a very accurate depiction of what your books are about. When I think of like author branding and what it should look like, I like when you see a cover, like to me, I wanted to kind of tell a story about what's inside the book.
Right,
And
right.
your covers just give like the best vibe, like that this is like that's exactly what I'm getting. What you just described, I feel like I can tell that by looking at your book covers.
Well, that's good news and bad news. The good news is that's great. The bad news is that I'm actually thinking of changing my covers.
Right.
Um, I I think it's time not to rebrand really, because I actually think that the objects are on brand, and the two series that have object covers, those are interconnected.
Mhm.
But when I go to release, I'm thinking a lot about the release of the next series, which is also interconnected.
Mhm.
And I'm wondering if maybe it's time to refresh the covers. Um, it's
Interesting.
hard because I want to stay with objects. I love the objects. I did have like sexy men at one time, but it's so hard to advertise that. Um,
Well, and I also feel like you've been branded as objects, so that's
right,
probably a look you should stick with. Even if you change
right,
the covers, just stick with
right,
objects
with
because
an object.
I was branded initially with objects because it's what was popular like at that time.
Right,
Um, well, I shouldn't say that's what was popular. It was popular. I didn't know what I was doing. In all in fairness, I was just looking at the books I was buying at the store. And when
right.
you walk into a bookstore, they don't have sexy men on the covers. They only have
No,
sex.
no,
So the whole notion of putting a man with abs on a book never even occurred to me ever, like
right,
in the very
right,
beginning. So I just did what I saw trending on the shelves. And
right.
because I was branded that way, when I decided to change things up later, I tried to put people on the covers and my sales just tanked. It did not do well for me at all. So, and the minute I switched back to objects, yeah, sales went back up. And
Right,
yeah,
right.
so it's interesting, like how readers, I don't know what makes them choose. Like I have yet to figure it out. So if there's like a
Yeah, I mean, I think there's something to be said about offering readers both.
Mhm,
Um, and when I first started writing darker romance, because my first series is a contemporary romance, which is not sweet, but it's not dark.
mhm.
And I was just starting out. I was trying to find my voice and my passion, really. And I finally found it, and it was to definitely write a darker, because the darkness started creeping into that contemporary series and suspense and things that I didn't really want in there, or that probably wasn't great to have in there. And when I changed genres, I did not have men on the covers. I had couples actually on the covers of my contemporary series. And I put a really sexy man on the cover. And I did it purposely because I wanted it to feel really different and to look really different. But it's like I personally like the object cover. That's my personal preference always. The when I'm scrolling through social media, those are always the object books with object covers are always the ones that catch my attention.
Me too.
So I don't know what I'm going to do really, but
Well, it'll be interesting to see, like, I mean, when we have our separate like chats, with our other ladies, like it'll be interesting
right,
to follow your journey on this and see what you end up doing with it.
right,
So with because you talk about us and how we both write different but yet very similar.
right,
So we both write, high stakes, emotionally intense romance.
right.
What do you think is one thing that readers don't realize about writing this level of intensity? Like,
It's exhausting.
yeah, yeah, it really is. It is.
It's very draining, I
Mhm.
think, right? And
It's just 'cause
by
you have
the
to put yourself emotionally. For me anyways, I have to put myself emotionally in the headspace of my character to get
right,
that those intense words that I'm looking for
right,
on the
right,
page. And
right.
yeah, it's hard.
When you're done, it's like, it's I mean, it's
Yeah.
pretty incredible. And also, we by writing romance that's on the darker side,
Mhm.
you're spending time in a world that is, shadowy, right? And it's and that in and of itself, right? When you have a hero, especially who's doing things that you don't really think is very or things that are not feeling very honorable to you, or things that you would really stay away from, right? Major red flags. That's a very it's hard to do that, right?
Mhm. Yeah, no, it,
um
it it really is. I feel like I don't know, I have some books that were harder than others. While all the books have like darker themes, there were some that um just like from like as a I feel like writing the dark stuff about the men has never really bothered me as much, but
uh-huh,
I feel like the women, when I have to write like a dark tragedy, tragic
right,
past or
right,
something like that with the women, that like that is more emotionally draining for me. Like I have to be like,
yes,
okay, like I'm exhausted from this chapter. I'm not
yeah,
going to write for a few days,
yeah,
like
yeah.
yeah.
Also with women, I have a heroine who is a survivor of childhood sexual assault.
Mhm.
And I felt that it does not happen on the page, but she eventually has to come clean with that to the hero. And I that I felt such a responsibility to tell her story without in a way that did not trigger or upset
Yeah. Yeah. Are you there?
survivors, right? And
Oh,
it's hard because
sorry.
everyone has
Hang on,
they have a different story.
you froze there for a second.
Oh,
So you said
okay.
you had to write it in a way that it triggered.
That didn't
It
trigger
didn't.
other survivors, right? And also that didn't
Oh, told you. He wants me to throw the ball. Hang on.
yeah, sure.
He's being a pest. He's just better on my lap because so go ahead. I'm so sorry.
No, that's okay. And it was also just hard in general because I think that the general population has this idea that survivors have a monolithic path, right? That every survivor um, doesn't want to have sex or shies away from,
Mhm.
maybe promiscuous sorts of behavior, or what people would call promiscuous sorts of behavior. And those things just aren't true. Everyone's journey is different. And so I wanted to kind of demonstrate that, I wanted to honor that. But I also was kind of preparing myself for a lot of backlash. But I felt
How,
that was a pretty
how
big
how was
responsibility.
it perceived? So if you prepared yourself for backlash, do you think you did it right? I'm just curious. Yeah.
I actually am really shocked at how I think I kind of did hit I think I hit the right spot for it. I got more um, reader emails and messages than from any other book, because survivors really kind of heard the message, that, they're not like everybody else and they shouldn't be shamed for how they feel about things, the things that they want or that they don't want, or for even things like being hypervigilant with their kids. And it was really interesting because I was worried about that.
I
Um,
understand that stress because when I wrote The Sound of Silence, it was a
uh-huh,
domestic abuse situation, a girl on the
right,
run, kind of like a Sleeping with the Enemy retelling
right,
way. And it's so funny now when I describe that when I'm at book signings, I say Sleeping with the Enemy, and these girls look at me. Oh my God. I'm like, I'm really old. They're like, what? I'm like, Julia Roberts, and nobody seems to know. But anyways, but no, but that story, it was originally part of an anthology. Nevertheless, We Persisted, Me Too, that was put on. It was just an audiobook only thing that it was put on by Tanya Eby way back. I want to say it was like 2017. And so it was a short story that I had written, and then I expanded it and made it this big, long 110,000 word novel. But before I did it, I ended up interviewing a lot of different women because I was so just hell bent on getting that story
right,
right, because I didn't
right,
want to, because like you said, every survivor is different. So that
yeah,
book has a little bit of like so many women that I've talked to.
right, right,
And and I feel like it came out in the story because it was perceived, that story of redemption was perceived very, very well amongst readers.
right,
Like I
right,
never even have to really promote it. It just kind of just sells. And
right,
it's the book that readers bring up to me like at book signings and say, thank you for writing this book. And I'm just
right,
like, so it's
right,
kind of like knowing that like I hit that emotional piece, like that
right,
I hit it right, that meant
right.
a lot to me. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like really, because I don't know whether we have a responsibility, but I felt as writers, but I'm always all over the place with that.
Mhm.
But I felt a huge responsibility,
Mhm.
um, in a way that I don't normally feel with my books. So,
So why do you think romance readers, like kind of jumping off that and, and the trauma in books and things like that, why do you think romance readers are a lot of them are obsessed with these morally gray men and villains over like the good guys? I always wonder about that. Some people love the
right,
citizen role hero, but I know more people that like those morally gray ones more.
right, right. Um, I think that for some people, when we get to like survivors, right? Or even not just survivors, but like everyone or most women have had encounters with men or other women, but primarily with men that are a little scary, right? Whether you found yourself in a really uncomfortable situation that you might not have been physically scared, but you were really uncomfortable and you had to really think carefully about how you were going to extricate yourself from it, right? And some people have actually been in some scary situations. And I think it allows us um, to work through some of that,
Mhm.
um, because it is on some level trauma, even if we don't think about it as trauma. And I, on some level, it's not real trauma, right? Or I mean, it could be, but it's not real trauma. But it's something that stays with you, and that you're careful of, that you might make you more careful the next time. But I always feel like dark romances or the books that I write are while there is growth for the hero, there's always some growth. They never become a different person. They are kind of who they are. I feel like I don't follow them through their lives for long enough to have that kind of change.
Mhm.
But I feel like the heroine goes on a journey. She has her agency taken away from her, or for whatever reason, she has a lack of agency. And then she gets that agency back in the end, and she gets it in the face of a bad man. So she has to really go on this journey, and she has to kind of learn to stand up for herself, right? Learn that she is strong, and learn to push. And even if she knows she's strong, she has to learn to push back in the most difficult of situation, right? Because this is a powerful person. And I think that, a lot of people like that.
I agree, actually, and I couldn't have put that better myself. Like the way you just broke that down, it was very philosophical.
Uh,
No, but I mean, it makes perfect sense because I've never really thought about like why do I write that or why do I read it? It's just something that I'm like drawn to. And as you were like speaking, I'm like, yeah, it's exactly why like I write it. That's exactly why I
right,
read it, you know.
right.
Yeah, that was interesting. Interesting. Well, going like deeper into that, in dark romance, sometimes our characters are doing bad things that, would be red flags in real life.
Right.
What line do you think a morally gray hero can cross before he's like gone too far? Like,
I don't know. I haven't reached it yet.
I know.
I have to be honest. I always say in the beginning, I always write a reader note at the beginning of the first book in my series. And I basically say, because by the end, in my head, my heroes, my morally gray characters have been redeemed.
Mhm.
And I always actually think it's up to the heroine to make a decision if she is going to redeem them or not. But the reader, they have to be redeemed, I think, for the reader,
Yeah.
or not, right? But I haven't reached it yet. But I always just say that at the beginning of the book. I don't know if he's redeemable. I'll leave that for you and the heroine to decide.
Well, how
But
do you build your heroine to stand toe to toe with like a hero like that?
well, I just think that I don't know. I think it just depends, right? I think that how strong my heroine is depends on how tough my hero is.
Mhm.
Um, and my first series, it starts with more of like, it's a Beauty and the Beast retelling because aren't all dark romances,
Yeah.
but but it has a little Cinderella aspect into the sense that her family worked for his family when they were younger and they became sweethearts. But it, so he has more power than she does. So, but he was not my most difficult hero, right? So she was able to, just by being a strong person, he had hurt her when they were kids, and just by sort of going out into the world and doing what she needed to do and becoming a strong person, owning like a hotel, she was able to push back again. She became strong, right? So, and in part from some of the things, the way that he behaved when he was younger.
Mhm.
My most recent hero, the heroine is also, she is of the same social class, we'll say. And so she has that kind of strength. And she also has a wound that made her strong because she survived that wound. Because he would have been a tough person, I think, I needed to give her some power, um, some of her own power against him to begin with, because he was really a really tough hero.
Mhm. So your upcoming series, Bourbon Dynasty, the name sounds really addictive, by the way. I know you took this year off to just write and get your things,
Mhm.
all of your business together.
Yeah.
I hope you've been writing all the words so slowly and um I mean I know what it's like to try to like juggle all the things and you wanted to take your time with this one. What can you share about it?
Well, since I have a prequel, or have released a prequel novella at earlier, maybe like a year ago, because I brought copies of it to Book Bonanza, and And I give away copies of it all the time. It's not available for sale though. Um, this is actually my most troubled hero. And he's different because even though he still falls into the billionaire category, he grew up very poor, very poor. And he spent some time in jail as a teenager. It's an enemies to lovers. And it's not a second chance romance, even though he met the heroine when she was 5. He saved her from a fire in the distillery that where his sister died. And that sort of sets up what happens later. So it's a revenge romance. And so it's pretty ugly in that way too. But I'm trying to not give away anything that isn't in the prequel novella. But I will tell you something else that has happened. So it's questionable whether how many words I've written. The story, the distillery's name is Wolf Trap Distillery.
I'm sorry, what is it?
Wolf Trap
Wolf
Distillery.
Trap Distillery, okay.
And there is a story about the house, and it's really about that's backstory really in this, but I know it because I sort of in my mind kind of created it. And it's about a man in the 1800s who went over to Europe to learn how to distill alcohol. And he met a woman and he fell in love with her. And she was French. And he came back to the US and they got married there. And he came back to the US. He built her this beautiful home that was in Kentucky and where his distillery was. And he built it something sort of out of the French Riviera. And on her way back to the US, there was a storm and the ship that she was on went down. And
is this the thing that you said that you weren't sure if you're ready to talk about?
No, it's coming.
Oh, okay.
And so he became a recluse. And it's called Wolf Trap because it became a wolf. At one time, wolves were trapped there, but he made it into a wolf sanctuary. And when Kentucky still had wolves. And
this sounds like a screenplay you need to pitch to Paramount, right?
And I became very obsessed with the wolves for some reason. Because I was like, okay, I can't really, how can they fit into this story? Can they really do something? No, I can't bring magic into this story.
Oh, no. Okay.
So what I started doing, and you know this, right? The book that you're not writing, like the next book is always the easiest one to write because you're not, right?
Yeah.
And so I started sketching out a romantasy that involved wolves. And I don't know if I'm actually going to publish it. I'm not sure. But which is why I wasn't sure if I was still, but it's basically Game of Thrones meets Grey's Anatomy.
That's so fun. Okay.
So anyway, so yes, so I haven't been as diligent with the other thing, the other book. And this may just be sort of the whole like prequel, like what happened before that isn't really connected to the story that I'm writing exactly. But the wolves somehow end up in Kentucky. That's how they end up in Kentucky in my mind. So yeah, so that's kind of what I've been doing. And I have to say, it's been really fun.
But you know what? I feel like there's like some things, these stories that we just have to tell. I remember talking to SL Scott about this, and especially when we're in a funk, or not in a funk, but like we feel like are spinning our wheels, right?
Yes.
And we get these stories that just heal us in some way or another.
Yes.
And if that's what it's going to take, if that's what you need to do, if this is a story that has to come out of you, well, that's where you need to go. And then
right.
other stuff can come later,
Right. That's kind of how I was feeling actually, because I was in such a funk with my story. Like I wasn't feeling right. I'm a really slow writer because
Yeah, we've
I
talked about
am,
this, so am I.
I am very research heavy, and it just takes forever, and I'm slow anyway. But and I was kind of like in this funk, and I was like, oh my God, maybe I shouldn't write anymore. And then this romantasy kept like popping up, and I fell in love with, I mean, I wasn't even reading, to be honest with you. I was like, oh, okay, I'm all done here. And and it was just avoidance, really, right? And this kind of brought me joy. And in turn, and now I'm loving the idea of writing again. And so anyway, so I don't know if it will ever see the daylight, but it's been really fun. And my husband is a physician.
Mhm.
And so and he no longer practices medicine, but he is the physician executive for a multi-hospital group.
Mhm.
And it's been really fun because I get to sort of work on it with him, because
Oh,
I get to pick his brain about the medical piece of this, and which has been really fun. And he was an infectious disease doctor, well, he still is, but and so part of this is there's going to be something called the Red Death in this if I write it.
oh,
And
okay.
so he's been helping me a lot with that. So anyway, I probably shouldn't
Just
say too
listening
much
to
about
you,
it, but
you
so
seem so excited talking about this. I
yeah.
need to chase it. I do. I think you need to just, yeah, continue this path.
I have to say, though, Dakota, I'm sure you've heard this a bunch of times too, or maybe not, because maybe you're not tempted to go off track, but that sort of, there's a little voice that keeps saying, stay in your lane, stay in your
No,
lane.
you know what? I don't really stay in a lane. My most popular books are my billionaires, so I will always continue to give the readers that. But if
Yeah,
I want to go someplace else, I will. That's where like The Sound of Silence is not billionaire.
right, right,
The Fade Into You books, they're not billionaire.
right, right,
Because I had a different story I had to tell. And
right,
so I
right.
did it. And the readers, they still enjoyed the books. We'll move on to the giveaway because we have a giveaway. So Eva's going to give away a copy of Greed, and I have a copy of Take Me Under. The link for that giveaway is in the YouTube description. I do have a whole bunch of reader questions that were submitted. Before we get into all the reader questions, I just want to remind everybody to hit the like button if you haven't already, because it helps improve our visibility. So, Eva, the first question I have is from Jessica in Dallas, Texas. She wants to know, what is the sexiest line you've ever written?
Oh,
Yeah, I always asked this once before. It's a tough question.
oh my goodness. It's a really tough question. I don't know. I'm not, oh, I know. On your knees, darling. It might not be the sexiest line, but it is a really popular line. And I had mugs made for my reader group actually when Depraved came out, because they happen to love that line. And that those mugs, like whenever people see them, they contact me, they want to buy them. So I'm thinking that, and the mugs are not anything special there, so yeah, so I'll go with that. Oh my God, that's a really hard question.
But actually, you had an answer like pretty quick, though. I had to like think about it, and I don't even think it was a sexy line that I ended up coming up with. It was probably just the most like one of the most romantic parts
Right,
in one
right,
of the books, and only because readers highlighted it all the time. Like
right.
it's the Kindle highlights, like
Yeah,
that's the only
yep,
reason I was able to think of it.
yep.
Um, so then I have Audrey from New York, New York. So she's down in Manhattan, looks like. Do you ever get emotionally attached to your villains?
Yes. Well, to my villains, no.
Mhm,
I don't actually I don't get attached to my villains.
mhm,
Um, I get attached to characters who I've killed off, which
mhm,
is really, but they weren't villains. Um, but I do get attached to my heroes, even the morally gray ones. I do.
Yeah. I think it's because they become part of us that, yeah, that's why. Then I have Riley from Tampa, Florida. Who is your favorite book boyfriend? It can be from a book of yours or another author's.
My favorite book boyfriend is Dante Santiago, and he is from, oh my God, Catherine Willicher's series. I don't know if you know Catherine. She was an author who wrote mafia and cartel romance, and she passed away.
Yeah, recently, right?
Like a year ago, actually.
Yeah.
And she was an amazing person. I mean, she really was. She was so young, and she
Oh,
left two
I've never
young
met her.
daughters. But her, I loved that character, and I still, while he is darker than any character I have ever written, he is, when I think about writing a morally gray hero, I always think about him.
Yeah. I don't know if I have a favorite. I mean, I have my some favorite books that I can go back to over the years.
Right,
I
right,
can't say like a hero.
right, 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 right,
Um,
right, right,
I don't know. I mean, I
right.
can't even say that I love my own. I mean, I love my heroes, don't get me wrong, the ones that I've written, but I feel like, well, the one I know the best is my Alexander Stone. So that I
Right,
guess I would
right.
say for my own, that would be the favorite. But yeah, I don't know. I don't know who mine would be. So I have Melissa from Vancouver, Canada. She said, "Why do you write dark romance? And do you think it's easier or harder to write lighter books?"
I think it's easier to write lighter books because I have written um, a lighter book during my while I was writing dark romance.
Mhm.
And I think they're lighter partly because my dark romance have a lot of suspense in them. So I feel like and usually I do, I give it more than just a cursory glance, the sort of dark romance. Some of my books are almost have some thriller aspects in them. And so that's very hard to make sure that you have enough romance to satisfy the romance reader, and but that there is, that I do the suspense justice. So it's harder to write two tracks, I feel like.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm a mood writer, so I can't say one is easier or harder. Like we talked about, I feel like dark romance is more emotionally draining. So in that sense, the lighter romance is
Right,
easier.
right,
But
right,
even my lighter stuff, I had this guy, I had this he was a side character. He was the father of one of the heroes, and he was just a bad guy. And I'm like, what do I do with this guy? And then eventually I'm like, yeah, we're gonna have a fire. He's gonna die. Like
right.
so even, so even my lighter books, they somehow I pull dark stuff in, because I just can't. It's just, yeah, I didn't like him, so we had to go. But yeah,
Love
and
that.
even another one I did like a race car romance that wasn't supposed to be, that was originally written in Christy Bromberg's Driven World. And that when I was writing that one, it was supposed to be just like contemporary romance, but then I ended up somehow weaving drug addiction into it. And it so then it still had dark stuff in it.
Right, right,
It's just the way I think I write.
right,
But those books, they were easier to write. I was able to write them much faster,
right,
a
right,
lot
right.
faster. So that's it for the reader questions. But I do have just some lightning round questions that I think are just fun. Um,
Okay.
so you are, so all right, whiskey, neat or on ice?
On neither actually. I need to, but on ice if I had to choose.
You had to choose. Oh yeah, you mixed. Didn't you say you
Yeah,
were mixing
yeah,
it with
yeah.
that? So slow burn or instant obsession?
I like a slow burn.
Um, I don't know because I like my obsessive heroes.
I
So
like my obsessive heroes too. Don't get me wrong.
yeah. But I think the that's a toss up for me. Because the slow burn, like writing it anyways, it allows me to build my characters. So that
Right,
I'm not just
right,
like jumping in the sack, like in chapter
right,
one. But
right, right.
but I do like that obsessive hero.
Yeah,
So
I love the obsessive hero too. I guess because I write enemies to lovers a lot. That's a trope, one of my favorite tropes to write, that it always ends up being more slow burn.
you know what's so crazy? As much as I love these obsessive heroes and bossy, yeah, if my husband ever like the minute he tells me what to do, I'm like, what? I'm doing the opposite. So,
Back to the hand. Yes, no, I hear, believe me. Yes.
um, all right. So then just what is one thing that your readers will be shocked to learn about you?
Um, well, I guess they wouldn't be shocked to learn I have a potty mouth because my books have a lot of bad words in it. So, um, I don't know. It's really
People are
hard.
always shocked to hear, even though it's in my bio and everything, that I'm like a crazy Star Wars fanatic. They're like, you don't look like a Star Wars person. I'm like, what is a Star Wars person supposed to look like? Like
Right,
I've like
right,
been obsessed since before. Like I was like
right,
two. Like
right. I do have to say that when I meet readers, they're always really surprised that I like use a lot of really use a lot of profanity in my books. And I'm not afraid to do that. And that always surprises them for some reason. They're like, "Oh, you're really nice." And I'm like, well, you can still have like a potty mouth and be nice.
you're very well spoken. So I think that's why when that comes out, they're like, oh, like it's just you don't match like with what I think the character because at the end of the day, I feel like readers who don't know who we are essentially characters in their mind as well,
Right,
until they meet us, and then there's always like a certain surprise element in there.
right, right, right.
Is there anything else that you want to share with anybody?
No, I don't think so. I've already given away my big secret,
I
right?
know, I'm really excited that I was
I
excited to
can't
hear
believe I
about
did
that.
it. The only person who knows that is my husband.
Well,
You
now a lot of people are going to know
know, a lot of
it.
people know, right,
Well,
right,
hopefully a lot of people. We're still growing the podcast. It's getting a little bit more traction every week. The newsletter is growing. Yeah, yeah. And that's also in the comments, in the YouTube description is a newsletter. Make sure you subscribe. So nothing else you need to share. Uh,
nothing else that I need to share. Nope,
all
that's
right.
it.
And finally, one thing. What's your unpopular opinion?
Okay, my unpopular opinion is that I think you can start listening to Christmas music anytime you want to. I think, or whatever holiday you celebrate, whatever your December or your winter holiday is, if you want to start in October or September, you go for it, girl.
I disagree. I cannot listen to it. And now here's me. Like I'll put up all my Christmas decorations in November
I
because
noticed
that's
that.
how I am. Like I have well, I mean seriously, the minute the doorbell like or there's no more doorbell for
Right.
trick or treaters. As soon as I turn off my light and there's no more people ringing the doorbell, I'm like, okay, when are we pulling out the Christmas decorations? But I will not put the Christmas music on until Thanksgiving. Like that's the hard
That
line.
that was me. I would actually turn it on when I started like cooking for Thanksgiving if
Mhm.
I was home alone in the house. But I just thought this year I started listening early. I feel like, oh, you know what? Why not? It's always like it brings like warm and cozy memories, and I feel like, oh, we can all use a little warm and cozy. So,
Right? Exactly. My unpopular opinion is that I think oatmeal raisin cookies are way better than chocolate chip.
oh, I agree. Actually,
Like a
I
good oatmeal raisin cookie. So it actually doesn't even have to have raisins, even if it's like if there's walnuts, it's just an oatmeal cookie, a good soft oatmeal cookie is so much better than
yeah, I agree. I'm actually not a huge fan of chocolate chip cookies, but I do like oatmeal raisin cookies.
so
Um,
go
well,
ahead.
I was going to say thank you so much. I have to say I could do a million of these, and always nervous every time. But
I like doing them because I feel like they're fun because I don't
they
know.
are, yeah, they are. I mean, they are fun, and I've really enjoyed talking to you. And one day you're going to tell me what it felt like to write a very long book, right, from a short story. I want to hear about that process, or from a novella.
From a novella? Oh, from like The Sound of Silence?
Yeah, yeah, I want to hear
That
about.
is that's a big story. We could talk about that like offline
Yeah.
for sure, because there's a whole thing behind that. But no, I hope you weren't nervous today. It didn't seem like you were. Everything I thoroughly enjoyed having our conversation here, other than like the disruption from the dog and Zoom cutting out, things like that. That's fine. That's what edits are for.
It was.
Um, but yeah, no, thank you for doing this with me. As always, it was fun talking to you. I actually I hope you finish this book because I can't wait to read it. I hope you make it a thing.
Yeah,
Um,
let's see.
where is the best place for readers to find you?
Well, my website, although I'm exclusive to Amazon, so evacharles.com is my website. And you can find me on social media, but you know, I think my website, or if you're looking for my books, Amazon, certainly.
Newsletters too. Newsletters are always huge. It's the best.
Yes, they could sign up for my newsletter through my website. Even it's really easy to do it. I don't send a lot of newsletter. I mean, I send newsletters monthly, or if I send a second newsletter in a month, it's because something important or genuinely worthwhile.
I'm usually like a two newsletters a month. That's how
Yeah,
often I usually
yeah,
send them. And then there's the people who signed up for this one, they'll get one every Friday reminding them like a new episode dropped. But other than that,
right,
I don't like to like inundate people's
right, right.
inbox.
I feel I don't want to become like another thing that people need
Yeah.
to tend to, even if it
I was
just means
actually
deleting the email. I don't want to become another job.
I was actually just saying to Patricia Eddy, I think it was last week, I had said to her, when we were doing like, what are you loving and what are you hating? I would say, I love this brand of clothing, but I hate that every time I order from them, I will get 20 emails just telling me
Oh,
exactly like the
I
status
know,
of my shipment. It's
I
like,
know. I
okay,
feel like between that and like spam is so out of hand, and I'm like, my inbox is like filled. It's hard to parse through what's important and what is just junk, and sometimes it actually looks very similar.
I'm actually thinking of like changing my Gmail address for my author stuff and just giving it to like the need to know people, because I'm just getting so
Right.
much stuff right now. It's been bad the last few months. Gmail's usually pretty good at filtering things out, but
Yeah.
anyways, I digress. So, all right. Well, to everyone listening, if you enjoyed this episode, please make sure to like, subscribe, and enter the giveaway for a chance to win Greed by Eva Charles and my book, Take Me Under. And I think that's it. We're good.
Take care.
All right. It was nice
Bye.
seeing you
Thank
again.
you.
All right. Bye. Hey, everyone. Thank you for tuning into the More Than Words podcast. If you enjoyed this episode, please hit the like button and consider sharing it with your friends so more people can find us. The more people we have listening, the more fun we can have on our shows. And most of all, I want to thank you from the bottom of my heart for supporting authors everywhere. Thanks and happy reading.